Hello and welcome to the Goofball Coalition, where three different types of comedy get together like the three Halloween monsters: Frankenstein, the vampire, Dracula, and the mummy. Typical. You know, those are
the three.
Well, the typical monsters.
They've added more, but those were the first three.
Those are the basic Universal Studios three that
They were trying to make, what was it, the Dark Universe? They were with Tom Cruise was the first one, or was it the Benicio del Toro werewolf? Was that the first one? I think the Mummy was the first one that they were really trying to make the world.
Tanked.
I kind of wanted to see that. I was kind of excited to see where they pushed that.
Yeah. Well, they can do it again. Nothing stops them anymore.
They will try again.
True. They'll try again. The Mummy's forever, right?
Yeah.
Anyway,
the Mummy I saw that movie. Anyway, all right, I forgot it.
Here we go.
Let's do it.
Welcome to the Goofball Coalition, the podcast that lives where improv, stand-up, and sketch comedy collide. And now, here are your hosts, Alex Knight, Sarah Kennedy, and Leslie Nesbitt.
Boom.
I mean, it feeds into just that idea of like corporate shit. Like, hey, can we take those Universal things and make even more money with them?
Yeah.
I do remember when they did, like, when I was a kid, they did the Universal, like, they were in like the chips and there was like Coke and like, I forgot, there was some sort of thing where there was like prizes or something. What was it? Do you remember?
Yes.
Oh.
What was the prizes? Or like
all kinds of stuff. Lots of stuff. They had like a whole slew of prizes that you could win. And it was like under the caps for all the Pepsi stuff. And then also just like, I think you could cut out a label and send it in for the chip stuff. But
yeah,
not to really show my cards, but we use that exact graphic for the monster sets flyer. Like it's all of them wearing sunglasses and holding chips and stuff. So
yeah. Man, it brought me a lot of delight, that ad campaign. Like I was really into it.
Monsters are great, you guys.
I love monsters.
Corporations aren't.
Yeah.
Good, important point.
What do you mean, Leslie?
Yeah, what's
what I mean by
that?
that is a topic that I would like to talk about. And it will get to it, but basically, do corporations have a place in theater?
Mm-hmm.
And so I would like to start with Sarah's lovely trip to New York City and her trip to the Second City Theater in New York. Tell us all about that, please.
Thanks. So they opened up a new Second City Theater in what is arguably the First City, which is that's a topic on its own. But like it's in Williamsburg and happens to be about a 10-minute walk from where I used to live. And so it's in a venue that used to be called Rough Trade, and it used to be half of a big record store and then half of a live music venue that could house about 300 people inside the music venue side of things. So I've seen like Tegan and Sarah, and they're like bigger names. I've seen concerts in that space. And so when I heard that the Second City had like turned it into a theater for improv and sketch and for their classes and in the whole kit and caboodle, I was like, I have to see what this looks like. Because how did they take Rough Trade and turn it into a space for something I consider to be fairly intimate? And so we went in the very first room that used to be the record store section is now this gorgeous, and I mean beautiful, bar area and waiting space. And they even had some programming in there. Like after all the shows and classes got out, they had karaoke in the space. And so it's definitely like run like a fun bar with events itself. And then they opened up and they had seating in the main area. And when we went in, it was so many like tables and cocktail seating kind of situations on the floor. Like I think it was almost like you could have 100 people there on the floor. And then they also had rafter seating, kind of like if you ever see Studio 8H for SNL, like more cocktail tables and stuff up there. Like you could still seat, I think, about 200, 250 in that space. Wow. And the stage was Jaiguno. And I sent y'all pictures of that too, where it was 2 stories with a spiral staircase, multiple doors and entrances. And then they had a musician playing the whole time, even when it was like a non-musical sketch. And then they had their Bruce. We even sent a picture to Bruce. They had their tech person way up in like a little eagle's nest space looking through a window. And so it was really spectacular. But I will say the improv show we saw, they only used the two like from off stage, on stage entrances, none of them used anything else to like come. Like,
I mean, it seems like a lot of play space. Like,
Yeah.
gotta use this staircase every night. Yeah.
Yeah.
I was just very, very shocked at the loftiness of what they want to do with this theater, because I you know, even though I do stand-up comedy, I really have a very big appreciation for improv and for sketch, and I still can't imagine a life where regularly they are selling out that theater. Like, I was trying to figure out, like, it would have to be like the current cast of SNL or like the 92 cast of SNL, some of them brought back from the dead, would have to be doing like a show in that space to regularly sell that out, or to make that be, in my mind, worth it. But maybe that's just because I do shows and my shows are in a smaller market or that kind of stuff.
How full was it, the show you saw?
Oh, it was on a Monday, so it was only 30 people. But when we were pushed way up front, and there was no drink minimum, but they definitely kept coming around, like being like, another drink? Would you like another drink?
There was an implied drink minimum.
It's not like the Comedy Store when they're like, you have to buy 2 drinks. If you
that.
leave early, you pay me money.
The Improv, I think, in LA was like that.
Most comedy clubs do that. It's like
it makes sense. It makes sense, but it is annoying.
Yeah. That sounds amazing, like an amazing theater.
Yeah.
Wow.
That was really well lit. And then it looked like, also, because we were right up front, it looked like they had mics on the stage so that they could record every single show with audio from both the audience and from the performers. And the way it was lit, it looked like they could get some really good video clips out of it too. So that way, and their stage, which is cool.
I mean, it's cool to see the thing that we have done from the ground up, like fully realized, kind of. Like, if all of a sudden one of us, you know, won the lottery, like, what might the theater redesign look like? Because for sure it would have a really cool bar in the center or whatever that feeds into, and then is always going after shows and stuff like that. So I will say that money does, you know, make dreams come true, but
very true
in some ways.
So then, getting it back to the main topic, I don't know, what is the story with Second City? Are they not just like an independent entity anymore, or where does their money come from?
No, yeah. So it all happened during the pandemic, when a lot of those big theaters had the big uprisings.
Oh yeah.
And a lot of them closed or had to deal with the uprisings that had happened.
And what do you mean by the uprisings? Because there was multiple there was like, I mean,
like UCB had like a riot basically about not getting paid, and that they weren't paying attention to their teachers and with their bad behavior and that stuff.
The bad behavior stuff. And then like the Groundlings was like, you know, people are like, you make us spend all this money, and then like it's
you don't reward us.
Elite, you know, few that get in, and
you
know, your teachers, also the teachers. And for Second City, it was they were trying to form a union because they weren't getting paid. And Second City was also like not doing well, and because they also had a fire, I think, in Chicago, right? They had a fire at the theater, right?
I've heard of like a big Chicago fire. Was that it? Or is that a
TV? No, that was in the past.
That's the great one. This is not
the great in the past,
No. So they had this big uprising, and I think it was also had to do with like diversity casting, and some of the people that were like not on the main stage, but also like paying the waiters and like trying to unionize and like getting better pay. And then like whoever had the Second City at that point, I can't remember, sold it. A private equity group.
Like Chuck E. Cheese.
It's a private equity investment firm, and they're based in Manhattan.
Ooh.
And during this uprising, they had closed all the theaters because of the pandemic. They closed down the Second City in LA. They were like, well, we're going to revamp it. We're going to do all this stuff and la la la. They were like, yeah, soon we'll do this, la la la. And then they announced they were opening the Second City in New York. And then
the revamp, the LA revamp is
in New York.
The revamp was
it's the same thing.
And they completely shut down the Second City in LA. There's no Second City there anymore. So all the teachers, and there's still like the union was trying to get more money. So now all the teachers are fired, you know, right? So they don't have this money. And then I saw this latest, and I'm trying to find it. but like one of the latest Second City shows, like the show is sponsored by Dunkin'. And it's like on their flyers and in the thing. It's like, oh, I don't know if that's right. Right? So now, like in the writing of the shows and all this stuff, like now
it's going to be a donut.
Yeah. So it's just, it gives a bad taste in my mouth about what happened the last couple of years with Second City.
Yeah.
That private equity thing is like a death knell. Like that is genuinely anything that you liked from like the 80s and 90s that took a dive is because they sold to a private equity firm, and then the private equity firm just did not want to continue the quality of whatever it was. So if you think about like that's what caused so much problems for Red Lobster. I use Chuck E. Cheese as an example because that is the perfect example of private equity messing with something that was beloved. If you watch, there's a million YouTubers that just talk about like what happened to that company, why, and then it's every single time it's like they were struggling, they sold to a private equity firm, and then it got run into the ground until it was nothing.
Because any of these things happen because there's like a soul that has created this thing, right? That cares about it. And so as soon as that's passed off to someone that doesn't have that same belief system, it can't, because these things are built on dreams kind of and run by dreams, right? In as cheap as that is in some capacity.
Corporations can come in now, or like that private equity firm can come in and be like controlling the voice, right? Of the Second City, or like any theater, like any private equity firm, or anybody that kind of has that corporate ownership can control the voice of the show. And I don't like that.
A couple seasons ago on SNL, there was a big announcement that they were going to start doing branded sketches, like partnership sketches. And I think the first one they ever did was like a Burger King drive-through, and all the people who came, they were in like a limo, and every few windows on the limo was like a different character, like trying to order from Burger King. But if you watched, I guess by the time this airs, 2 weeks ago when Ariana Grande was the host, they had multiple branded sketches. They had one where Ariana Grande was Celine Dion, and she was like shilling for UFC, which is it was a really funny sketch.
Yeah.
Did a great impression of Celine Dion, which was cool. Then there was a Maybelline one where they were all Jennifer Coolidge. And then there was even a third one. I remember I was just like, geez, like it's basically just like letting the cast of SNL do commercials.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, there's always been product like placement, but it was because the comedians, like there's always been brands in SNL, right? Like not always, but like there have been sketches with Burger King before, but it was them making fun of Burger King. Is that
like
true?
The one, what were they advertising with Chris Farley and Adam Sandler?
Oh, it was like beer.
Cool. Yeah, it was a beer. Whoa. It was just like a bunch of hot guys. But it was like a legit beer, I think. I can't remember now.
Yeah.
But yeah, there's always.
And now it feels icky because it's like they might have been making a McDonald's joke, but because Burger King sponsored, they made a Burger King joke or whatever. Like, is that
you don't get as many made up products. Like you don't get as many like, oops, I crap my pants and like all those ones, the Fish-O-Matic and all that stuff because
they will just label it
like in a real brand.
Yeah, Pampers. Oops, I shit my pants for. Yeah.
So what? Okay, let's go back to this Dunkin' Donuts thing too. So is the show Dunkin' Donuts themed or just sponsored by Dunkin' Donuts?
It says the Second City and Dunkin' present ring lights and lattes.
Ooh.
So yeah, an ice cold comedy collaboration that blends legendary Second City sketch and improv with spontaneous spark of big Dunkin' energy.
Oh God.
Yeah. So like,
I have been missing that big Dunkin' energy in our shows. We can put just a dabble of it in there.
Yeah. If our shows were sponsored, it would be by like that citrus or whatever that energy drink is.
It's like Celeste. What is it? Yeah.
I can't remember now.
Yeah, a couple of the cast members do like it.
Yeah. But yeah, like it's kind of, it doesn't like, it makes me feel weird.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, even a local, like even if Zendo sponsored or something, even that feels there's something weird about it. I mean, I don't know, maybe not. It's
Well,
part of what
I mean, we have partnerships with a bunch of different downtown companies, like because it helps.
Yeah, no, that does make sense. Like,
Mhm.
yeah, I mean, when I teach, I will get a Zendo coffee, and I don't like advertise it, but I am like
Drinking
Zendo,
it.
yeah, and I'm happy to be like go support this local business before.
I will also say one of our best sponsors has been Seven Clover, the dispensary, because they will get us free product for all the comedians,
Yeah,
and
that was
we
really
get
nice.
shared promotion out of doing that with them. And
Yeah,
they also have their own events, and we kind of hook them up with comedians that can host those well. And
yeah.
so
So
I've
yeah,
seen
where's that
positive stuff come out
line?
of that stuff, but that's definitely a little bit more like mom and pop
That's
level
yeah,
stuff.
that's definitely helping our local community, like
Mhm.
and feeding each other, and supporting each other. But
Right.
you didn't put in, we will say like in a curtain speech, we'll mention those people, but we're not the content isn't changed.
It just happened to be a good match for him anyway. It was a show that was weed based, so
Yeah,
like
yeah,
it was a
it's a
perfect
great
match.
match.
But yeah,
Yeah,
Right. Yeah.
but and then Leslie and I we talked about this a couple of weeks ago too on this podcast too about how brands are using sketch comedy to
Yeah.
like on their socials, and so it's kind of happening in
both ways.
reverse instead
Yeah.
of like so it's like instead of your
Yeah.
show running on Duncan, now Duncan has a bunch of little goofballs running around being like la 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 on their little videos.
But
So
yeah, and that's so weird because like with the brands doing sketch comedy on TikTok, I'm like, yes, I'm here for this. But like if you're doing a theater show in a theater in your spot and like you're deep it doesn't feel right. I don't know why.
Yeah.
it feels like a joke. That's the problem about it. Like that's the Second City is proud to partner with Duncan, and like
Yeah.
that sounds like something their marketing team wrote and not that the comedians wrote. Or
Well,
that
and again,
Yeah.
for me, it's like, why does something like the Second City that is such an established thing need the help? Like
Yeah.
you don't need that big a theater. I'd much rather go to a smaller, dinkier, less Duncan-y theater to see improv. That is, like if you've stretched so far that you need that help now with that kind of money, you shouldn't have stretched that far. Maybe is how I feel. Possibly, like the
Yeah.
theater should be able to exist on its own. You didn't need these local there is a synergy with the local businesses, but it's like your theater's not closing down because the weed store didn't help you out. And if it does need to be, then maybe your theater shouldn't be there if you need that desperate a help, if you need Duncan in there. So I think that's it for me, is like the comedy should be able to live on its own. And if it can't live on its own, then it shouldn't exist. Like it's on life support by a coffee company. And that's what seems weird to me, maybe.
Yeah. It just feels like their hands are too much into the marionette puppetry of it. Of it all, instead of like, I don't know, a little part.
Or maybe full hybrid where the coffee cups now have hilarious sketches on them, like like comic strips of hilarious
right
sketches.
Yeah.
I don't know. Yeah, I mean, are any other theaters are there any other examples of this happening with other theaters and stuff? I mean, like sports is like, I don't know. It's hard to watch. It's just hard to watch things when it's just ad, and it's like the Staples Center and like.
Yeah, I was gonna say like
really
there's
quite
Wrigley
frustrating.
Field, but then there's also the whatever.com stadium or
Yeah.
It's exactly like that Fight Club quote where it's
Yeah.
just like about Planet Starbucks and all that stuff too, where it's just like everything has to have a stamp on it from someone else.
Right. And I think that's also like what is bugging me, like on a more surface level, is this just like, God, another commercial, another ad everywhere. They're everywhere.
Yeah.
I'm sick of them.
Not to get too hippie, but like I like Burning Man. One of the things about it is decommodification. And so when you go there, like there's people bring U-Hauls, but they'll like cover up the U-Haul ad. Like there is no ads there as best people can make it. And it's brought a real awareness to me of like, sometimes I'll get a Starbucks on my way to class and I will be like, I don't want my students to see me holding a Starbucks cup in any capacity. If they look up to a teacher at all, I don't want them to go like, oh, teacher's cool. Teacher likes Starbucks. The Zendo one is different. I'll be like, yes, go to Zendo, support local business.
Yeah.
But just become a lot more aware of when I'm advertising for companies and I don't want to. like even wearing a Nike shirt. Like, are you sure you want to do that? Like, do you really like the man that's making all the money off of that stuff? You're advertising. I don't know. Like we advertise a lot more than we realize, and like it's fucked up.
There's those like really like they seem cool, and like I think a teenage me would love them, but like Heinz ketchup made a ketchup packet purse. But I'm like, you're advertising for Heinz.
Yeah, you're, and not only that, you gave them money to advertise for them.
Yeah.
Like if they're giving away free ketchup purses, that seems different in some capacity. But when we're paying money to wear clothing that like advertises stuff, there's just an ickiness to, I think, the lack of awareness sometimes. And
when I was in New York, Arizona Iced Tea did a green tea shoe drop. Like they were shoes that looked identical to the green tea cans, and they were very cool looking. And everybody at my work was like, I'll go on my lunch break and I'll just stand in line and I'll get some. And then like they were gone within 18 minutes, and there were 300 pairs of them, and they were on the internet within 3 minutes of them being sold out, and they were going for like 10 times the price too.
Oh my gosh.
So people, broker that kind of stuff.
Yeah. Boo. Reselling. Just buy it for yourself and enjoy it. You're getting very hippie on here for sure. Although I am advertising Doctor Who on my
sure, and I plugged blue blockers last podcast, so I know. Like we do it. But like
2 episodes ago, you weren't here, Alex, but Leslie and I were name dropping in companies like you wouldn't believe. We just a million different companies. We just talked about how much
Pizza Hut, Pistol Pete's.
We definitely went local.
Dion's Hard last episode.
Dion's, Blake's, we did like all of them.
Yeller Sub, So we were good.
Definitely. Someone listening to our last podcast was probably like, I need a Dion Sub. All of our sandwich choices, they all sound good. Do I get a Sarah? Do I get a Leslie? Do I grab an Alex? Which one? I think that's it. It's just like, we're just calling out, like, it's fucking there. The awareness of it is important. Pick our battles a little bit more. And when we see a big company do it, I don't know. It's icky. It's icky when they team up. Because, aren't you guys strong enough on your own?
Yeah.
Right. And like private equity is now just partnering with corporation.
I'm telling you right now, that private equity thing, watch what happens to this theater in Manhattan, because now that makes a lot more sense of why they built it the way they built it, is because it's built to fail.
Oh.
So just keep an eye on it.
To sustain that thing is going to be super expensive, it sounds like. And then going back to the drink minimums, it's like, and then on top of that, then we're also going to like try to leech you inside it because we need a spiral staircase.
I got friends on like the main stage shows too. Like I'm so happy for them, but right now it just feels still like, I don't know. It just feels,
on that note,
segment
3.
Once again, there's no answers. There's no answers.
All right. Welcome to segment 3, everybody, where we plug stuff that's going on, tie up loose ends, answer your questions. We'd love to get some questions from y'all. Feel free to reach out to us.
Yeah. Rate, subscribe, share.
A lot.
Investors.
Yep.
Send them our way.
Yeah. Send investors our way.
This is definitely the kind of episode you want to show a potential sponsor, by the way.
Yeah.
We'd love to do your ad reads. Let us do it.
Yeah. Local only.
Local businesses. We'd love to help you out.
Partner. Absolutely. I think that'd be great.
We're doing good.
Yeah. Gosh, what is there to plug, huh?
Man, shows every weekend. And now, how are y'all feeling about having everything back at 8?
It's good for the winter, but like it's just hard for me to do improv comedy if the sun is coming through those big glass doors at our theater. It just feels weird. It's a night activity, I feel. Yeah. So 8 o'clock's great, but I would like to shift back to 9 in the summertime, but we'll see how the group feels. We have a vote every year.
Y'all have a new house team.
Yes.
That's amazing.
Yes, go check them out.
The 9:15 slot.
That's super important to announce. Thank you, Sarah,
Fridays.
for covering our bases. Yeah, the Nightcap is our Herald team that'll be performing at 9:15. It's only $5. Come check them out. Come support them. They're great improvisers. A lot of them, we had auditions for our show, and we took a couple of people, but then there was like 8 people that were like, they're good. They got callbacks. They're good. what do we do with these people? How do we like celebrate them still? And so we just kind of put them onto a new team. So
that's fantastic.
And they're being coached by Kevin Bransford.
I love that.
He's a great improviser. So yeah, I'm excited to see them. They premiere on the already passed, I think, when this episode drops. They'll premiere the 18th of October.
Right.
Yeah.
But they're going to be
Already
every
did.
Friday.
So they're crushing it. Go see them. They've got their what is it called? Their speed, their pace. They've got their
Momentum. They got the.
There's a better word for it, but yeah. Their stride.
Their
Yes.
stride.
Yes. By now they've hit their stride, so go check them out. Kinks are out.
Yeah, that's awesome. We have Chelsea's in the nightcap, and she's also going to be doing a set at Monster Sets. She's doing she's Bigfoot, which is going to be great.
Can't
so
wait.
I'm super excited about that.
She's so fun.
That's my favorite thing.
fun.
Yeah, not to keep harping on it,
Look
but
at
they have
that.
the goofy shows. It's so
She
nice.
just sorry, I didn't
That's
mean to interrupt. She just triumvirated.
Yeah.
She's doing Bigfoot stand-up. She's doing doodles, and here she comes on the nightcap.
Ooh, and she's
is-
cherry pie.
She is the Goofball coalition in one.
She's a
person.
goofball.
Yeah,
You become a goofball if you've done all.
what a lovely goofball.
Very cool.
But that's the best part too, as I was saying, is that like doing these 7:30 shows incorporates so many people from all over, and I'm really excited to kind of have the squishiness and have it be something that an audience would really enjoy. So
Yeah, that weirder, more avant-garde stuff is definitely like more accessible. Like even for me, again, I'm going to do monster sets because it's an easier way for me to start doing stand-up than to be.
Right.
Very cool.
So fun.
What else? Anything else? Anything else important? Lingering questions?
Concerns.
I think by the time this airs, classes are already starting up again, right?
Yep. Our
Okay.
classes
Yes.
are going. But the New Year's big. Check us out in the new year if you missed this round of classes. It's a lot of people's resolution is to take an improv class.
Yep.
But yeah, our classes are doing really well. Come to our jams the last Thursday of every month. Meet this community. It's a bustling, growing community. It's super fun.
Yeah, that's
You're
awesome.
very welcome,
It's
whoever you
just-
are.
Yeah, everyone's lovely.
Cool.
It's
Well, I
so
think
true.
what a lovely note to end on. I think
Everyone's lovely.
that's so helpful and awesome. So bye, everybody. We'll see you next time.
Bye. Thank you.
Bye.
Thank you.